Well, I think that's the thing is, when you're a banker, you've been in the industry for 20 years, you've got those connections. And sometimes there are, at any bank, there's going to be something you can't do, but somebody else can do. And just knowing those connections, making a couple of phone calls. Hey, is this something y'all are doing right now? Is something that you can get done quick and efficiently? And if you've got those connections, you can get it done. And thankfully, Jeff came in there and saved the day. But it's about taking care of the client. And, most things that we can do for you, that we take care of almost everything you need on a day-to-day basis. But every once in a while, something comes up, and you got to be able to prepare to take care of that and take care of your client. Because, nothing goes further than to save a business. Keep those people employed and keep you moving too.
Welcome to Winning Strategies Playbook. For more information on this show, you can go to myexperiencedrealtor.com. That's experience with an ED. You can click on the podcast link there on the homepage to take you to this show and download this episode and other episodes and all the different platforms, or even listen to this on the site. And as usual, if you're looking to buy and sell real estate anywhere on the planet, go to the homepage, click the Find a Trusted Professional. We don't want you to get somebody that can't handle your interests. Even if it's not the Spann Group here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, we'll get you someone that is Spann Group quality. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today we are here to talk about our fabulous guest, Bill Kresser. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Happy to be here.
Thanks for coming. My longtime banker now, not just bank, but banker. Right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
God, how many, years now?
Years now. Yeah, absolutely.
Years. Golly.
Yeah.
It's been years. Like, I don't even know what's in my account because you take care of all that for me, right?
That's the goal.
I don't even think I know I don't even know what my password is to get into my account. I'm just like, Bill, what do I need to do? And you're just like, I'll just take care of it.
That's what we do. That's what a good banker should do.
Oh, yeah. So we start every one of these off with a little joke. And we do it to intentionally annoy my father-in-law.
All right.
Because when I started this show last year, he said, you must do a joke. And I says, okay, well, I'm going to intentionally do bad jokes.
Okay.
Now he wants me to stop doing jokes. So you know what that means? I got to keep doing jokes.
Right.
All right. I thought this was fitting for your industry, being in the banking industry. Give a man a gun and he'll rob a bank. Give a man a bank and he'll rob the world.
Very true.
I told you they're horrible, right? There's nothing good about them.
Hey, there's some truth to that, though.
So I've had another banker on here before. It was a fellow Marine, telling about his story, journey through the Marine Corps to get into banking and everything else. And on that show, we alluded to the importance of somebody not just banking somewhere, but banking with someone, that personal relationship. And you and I were introduced to each other by Bob Mitchell. And I'm sorry, my phone.
The one and only Bob
the
Mitchell.
One and only Bob Mitchell. Like he literally knows everybody on the planet.
Absolutely.
Matter of fact, I've always wanted to ask him, like if I were to open my phone right now, like how many contacts are in my phone, right? Is in my phone, right? I have what is this? I have just shy of 3,000 contacts.
Oh, then he knows 2,500 of them then.
Oh, no. He probably has like 30,000. As a matter of fact, he probably has to have 2 iPhones.
Yeah.
Because his address book on one won't hold them all. There's not enough gigabytes on there.
Well, yeah, and of your 3,000, he probably knows 2,500.
Oh, yeah. He probably introduced me to 2,500.
That's probably true.
So I remember when he had introduced us, we had met up at the Fort Worth Club. And then you and I went for a beer over off of Camp Bowie. I can't remember the name of that place. It had just opened. I don't know if it's still open.
Yeah.
And it was.
We went to Lone Star Taps and Caps.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's still
that's
open.
right.
Still
that's
open.
right.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny. I think you got to get a good kind of taste of like what I am, right? Not who I am, but what I am.
Yeah,
right?
I think what is. I think that's well described.
But I remember sitting there, and I was like, "Look, man, I'm in my 40s. You're in your 40s. We got lots of friends. We need another friend like we need another hole in it.
Right.
What do you want?" And you went, "Hey, I can respect, getting straight to the point. These are the kind of introductions I want to meet. Blah 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 blah." And I said, "Cool." I said, that works both ways. And then what that evolved from having those beers was into the incredibly trusted, special relationship that you and I have built over the number of years. That when I say there is I mean, so I've got my CPA, Matt Fowler. I've got my wealth manager, Tim Hatcher, and then I have you, my personal banker, Bill Kresser, and the three of y'all. I mean, outside of my wife, of course, I trust more than anybody in the world because y'all literally take care of anything and everything that touches money for me, so that way I don't have to mess with it.
Right, that's our job.
Yeah, and that is a large amount of trust that has allowed me to become even more successful because there was another CPA firm, if you remember that. I've been through a couple of them now in the last couple of years when you and I first introduced, and I said, listen, I really just want to establish an advisory circle that they tell me what to do with money. Mm-hmm. That way I don't have to think about it, and I can concentrate on servicing my clients, building trust, and making money.
Yeah.
And you've been able to do that, and we'll go into it more in the show, where you've done it on a number of levels that has absolutely solved massive problems, one of them being Old School Pizza Tavern here recently, not only when the pandemic first happened last year, but most recently, and talking about somebody that goes above and beyond to make sure that the right thing happens for a client. You deliver over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And if everybody's wondering why I'm kissing Bill's ass, is when the guy that actually has your money, you want to make sure that you're nice to them.
Yeah, there's a hold we got to put on this today.
Where are all these fees? I thought you waived those.
Right.
Not today. So anyhow, so tell us where are you from and what got you into banking and where you are today?
Yeah, okay. So I was originally born in Chicago, or just outside Chicago in Joliet, if you know where that is. It's where the Blues Brothers are from. But I moved to Texas when I was pretty young, 4th grade, and grew up here. North Richland Hills, went to Richland High School, graduated from UTA, played soccer down at Hill College for a little while, then continued on and played soccer at UTA in the club side. And my grandfather, he was a banker, so I never knew what I wanted to be, but while I was in school, I was a teller. So I liked it, tried a couple different things, and got recruited to come back into banking. And, 20 plus years later, I'm still rocking and rolling, doing my thing in banking. And then I think the thing that I've had is that I've been in every role you can possibly be in, starting out as a teller, just literally working my way up. My degree is a piece of paper on the wall that has nothing to do with what I do. It says political science, and I couldn't want to be further away.
You deal with a lot of politics. I don't know.
True.
You do deal with a lot of politics.
True. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that going on, as you know, especially over the past year or two. So.
Yeah.
So just working my way up. I think bootstrapping it and just working hard every day. I've got a lot of people who have worked underneath me at some point, and some of them have gone on to just have excellent careers. And I think the biggest thing is just watching out for people and trusting them and allowing them to run, especially when you're in a manager role, which I used to be in. Just allow them to run, and you're there, and every once in a while you got to pull that string in tight, but they usually know that's coming.
Yeah.
So, but now the opportunity to switch over to the private wealth side, which I've been in now for 5 years, just absolutely love it. It's what I wanted to do. It's about taking care of the client. It's what you talked about every day. My clients know I've got one phone number. I've got a desk number, but it rings back to my cell phone. It's my personal cell phone. It's the way my kids get a hold of me. It's the way you get a hold of me. It's the way that all my clients get a hold of me, and that's what it's about. And being there, here's the issue, here's what's going on in my life, and it's my job to run and try to figure it out on the financial side.
Yeah. And how often does your phone ring?
Oh, all the time. Thank God for text, because now most people text me, and then if they need a phone call, then we get on the call. But it's nonstop. I know, similar to yours.
Oh yeah, it's both a blessing and a curse, right?
It is.
And it's the thing that allows me to make a living, but also the thing that's the bane of my existence, right?
Correct.
I mean, there's some days. I mean, this smartphone is literally a love-hate relationship, right? Like, there's days I look at it and I'm like, I love you so much, and then there's days I look at it and I was like, I hate you.
Right.
My wife was like, who are you talking to? I'm like, my phone. She was like, who's on the phone? I was like, nobody. This is the phone.
Yep. When you're yelling and cussing, it's probably not a client. It's more than likely just the phone.
Just the phone. Just the phone. Yeah. And so you just recently made a transition.
Yes, yeah. There's an opportunity to go over to Origin Bank, myself, and I'll throw a little plug out for Greg Irwin. Two of us have worked together now for several years and worked at previous banks together. And the opportunity to just go to a small boutique bank that really values customer service, really has a great deep culture in banking and just down home kind of feel. And they wanted us to come over and start their private wealth team here in Fort Worth. And it was an opportunity couldn't pass up. At BVA, where I was before, I have nothing but good things to say. Gave me the opportunity to come into private wealth, and just with changes going on there, just created an opportunity for people to reach out to us, and this just seems like the perfect fit.
Is there, and I know it hasn't been a long time that you've been over at Origin now, but have you already been able to tell that there's a massive cultural difference between the very large bank like BBVA and the boutique bank like Origin?
Oh man, it's night and day. So one of our peers, Mike Wood, he was over there. He's been over there for 4 years. One of the guys, the main guy that recruited us, and he said, "You won't believe it over here." Like he says, I pinch myself almost every day. The culture is just so much different. It's just so friendly. Everybody works together. The teamwork between the branches and the private wealth and the commercial guys, it's the synergy is there. Everybody works together. Ironically, 20 years ago, approximately, my branch manager back at Bank One, when I was still trying to figure out how to be a banker and how to do a loan, is our branch manager downtown Fort Worth location, and it was great catching up with her, and she's outstanding. So just the feel and that teamwork there. Lots of guys, Eric and stuff on that team. It's refreshing.
Yeah, when you had told me, you're like, hey, I just made a switch over to Origin. I mean, I was like, man, if you're going to go somewhere, because I know a lot of people over there, right? Mm-hmm. And done business with Eric for years. Actually, I mean, look, me and Alex, we've been,
of course,
three peas in a pod for a long time. We go, sporting clay shooting together and everything else. He's, done a lot of deals for not just me and my clients, but other friends, stuff like that. So to know that you were over there, knowing the quality of the team that you were going to be matched up with was just, I would assume that the layers of complexity and red tape are not as much compared to where they were at BBVA.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a simple thing, we started last Thursday, and on Monday, the CEO of the company is coming out here just to see us from Ruston, Louisiana.
From Ruston, Louisiana. That's where Carol and James are from.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they grew up in Ruston.
Wow.
Yeah.
They probably know the people who run our show.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, they know all about Origin.
I think everybody
Bank
knows everybody there.
Yeah. And and I'm that I tell you is when your banker goes to another bank, how many hoops that I have to jump through to try to get all my stuff squared away so that way I can move over there to Origin as fast as possible.
Yeah.
To be able to go, hey, I'm here with you, right? I'm here with you. Give me a little notice next time.
Right, yeah. Well, things like this happen quick, and you got to keep it secret, because if things fall through or whatnot, you got to make sure you still have the job where you're at.
Yeah.
So
What's that like? I mean, because I'm sure these conversations don't start out very publicly, right? And there's some careful navigation, because what you just said is, what if the negotiations don't go through? Then you're really, when the music stops playing, you're left without a chair, right?
You were correct. So a lot of it's very secretive. I think near the end, once we knew, then the word started getting out. Probably a week or two before we left, I think a lot of people that were in our tight-knit circle knew that it was coming.
Yeah.
But I think the same thing, you've got to keep it tight. You got to keep it secret. And I think everybody knows that. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're switching from one bank to another bank, or you're switching from one industry to another. You've got to make sure that you have a place to land, right? Yeah. My job is to take care of my clients. I got to find, when I'm leaving, I've got two things to take care of. Myself, obviously. Am I going to get compensated and take care of like I need to, and have the right culture there? Because that's where I spend as much time as I spend with my family there.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a couple hours a week, right?
Yeah. I wish, yeah. That's the amount of time I spend with the family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other half is, I've got these clients. Are they all going to come with me? Heck no.
Yeah.
But are a chunk of them want to follow me? Shoot, I've got people that followed me for 4 different banks now.
Yeah.
And I've been at BBVA for 9 years, so you can imagine how long these guys have followed me. So the reality is it's got to be the right fit for me and the right fit for the clients that you know are going to continue to follow you. Can we do and meet their needs the same way at a smaller bank, or if you go to a bigger bank, can you meet their needs the same way? And I feel like there's no doubt we can do that here.
You bring up something that's really important that I think a lot of times people in the audience might confuse, so I want to give this thing some clarity, is when you start off with, I have to make sure I'm taken care of, and then the clients are taken care of, is people need to understand the volume of actually what that means, because I think a lot of people don't realize that if you can't take care of number one, then how are you expected to take care of anybody else? Mm-hmm. If you're dealing with the internal pressures and stresses of everything every day because you didn't set up the right components for yourself to succeed, it's going to be a very uphill challenge to allow for your clients to succeed. You know, it's kind of like on an airplane, right? When they give you the safety brief, it's, you know, the oxygen mask drop. What do they always say? Put your mask on first.
Put yours on first, yep.
And then help everybody else, because what good are you if you can't breathe? Right.
Yeah.
And I think people confuse that with selfishness, and it's not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, well, yes, you have to be selfish in a component in order to make sure that you have the things and elements that you need in order to be successful before you can help anybody else. So it's kind of like, you know, I tell people, like, you know, Laura and I mean, look, I'm so blessed, right? I mean, I outpunted my coverage. I'm married incredibly well. Laura's an incredible human, and, you know, but marriage is hard, right?
Sure.
Like, I don't care how, I'm speaking of the choir, right? I mean, you've done it a time 2 or 10 yourself. So, you know, and Laura's, you know, was previously married, right?
Sure.
I mean,
sure.
Which is really funny is you go a divorcee and somebody that was damn near 40 that had never been married, and you put them together, and 10 years later still together and doing really, really well. And you know, but I tell her all the time, and I can't imagine what it's like to be in a bad marriage, because a great marriage is still so much work. Sure. That I just can't imagine the stresses when it's not great, right?
Right.
And look, hey, look, nothing's perfect, right? I mean, Laura and I get sideways with each other, especially since we live and work together.
Of course, right?
We have a unique relationship where we can literally spend. Well, it's funny. People go, y'all can spend 24 hours a day together. And I was like, what's really funny is we really don't talk that much during the day, because she's handling her side of the business. I'm handling my side of the business. Yeah. And then if my phone rings and it's her, and people go, oh, you're just going to answer because your wife is calling? I'm like, no, my wife doesn't call me during the day. So if she calls, it's important.
Right.
And it's probably business related, right?
Sure, of course.
But that's one of the things that we do is we make sure that we can self-care before we can co-care.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Is, you know, we make sure that ourselves are taken care of, so that way we can absolutely be focused on each other. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you have to be hyper focused on the other side, right?
Sure.
And she's done that here recently. This large deal I've been working on. I mean, man,
Correct.
It has been 6 weeks of no sleep. I don't think I've gone to the bathroom correctly in 6 weeks. Really. Like, I mean, I like the other day I actually went 24 hours without eating because my heartburn was so massive that I was like, I can't even do anything. Now that didn't prevent me from having a beer or two before I went to bed.
Right.
But I didn't realize till the other day when she was like, oh yeah, by the way, XYZ, and I was like, how long has that been going on? She was like, about a month. And I was like, why are you just now telling me? And she was like, because I didn't want you to be distracted from what you were doing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's really how I feel about the relationship that you have created for us, right? Mm-hmm. You've removed so much complexity, and you've created so much trust where we don't have to think about anything.
Right.
Right. You've literally made this where it's just, I don't have to think. And I really for the audience out there that have personal bankers and have personal relationships in the bank, they'll understand this. But those that don't, I don't really think that they fully know the value that you guys bring and deliver. And I want to give it a great example of this. So last year, you know, March of 2020 comes around, the world stops, right?
Absolutely.
One of my businesses, restaurant over in Arlington, just hit 10 years. And so naturally, restaurants was one part of the industry that just got decimated, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I try to give people an example of, just try to picture this. In 2019, now we're not a big operation, right? I mean, it's pizza and beer and 45,000 college kids across the street at UTA.
Exactly.
And in 2019, we did 1.2 million in sales, and it takes $900,000 to run the business.
Right.
And then in 2020, we only did $700,000 in sales, but it still takes $900,000 to run the business.
Right.
And so I called Jeremy, the general manager, Jeremy Washburn. I think we can all agree.
Oh,
that
yeah,
guy
he's
is
outstanding, man.
He's made of Teflon. That guy is literally a superhero in my eyes. I
Sure.
really, truly believe
I would agree with you. He's been putting up with a
He's
lot and going through some challenges this past year.
I'll tell you. And anyhow, they I was like, how do we do this for $200,000 less? And he looked at me and he goes, do you really want to know? And I was like, yep, nope, don't want to know. Never mind, not going to ask. Yeah, you're right. And then we, of course, lead into 2021 where, look, the hammers haven't stopped swinging at us, right?
Right.
And it was like, well, what do we do now? And so, for some reason, I think it was due to the complexity of how big BBVA is, but there was problems getting the PPP done, right?
Yeah, that second round was a little bit challenging.
Oh man, and I mean, so we were getting through March, and it was like, man, you remember, you probably still got the text messages saved, like, oh wow, look, Jeremy's being a dick again. But because I was seriously shocked because Jeremy was calling me every day, and like he'd literally call me with the day count.
Oh yeah, you gave me the day count. So,
oh yeah,
I know.
He'd call me and he'd go 45. That's how many days we got left.
Yep.
30. That's how many days we got left. And then I was like, Bill, what are we going to do? But there was things. Sometimes there's things outside of our control. There were things outside of your control. But the one thing that you had control of is you were going to make sure that we were taken care of.
Sure.
So you went outside the bank to another bank, which coincidentally happened to be a guy that I did my MBA with at TCU,
right.
Jeff Montgomery at Sendera Bank, also a great human being that I will have on this show, who is also more ADD than I am and still gets stuff done. That's really kind of amazing. But you said, hey, I've got somebody that is going to make this happen in the next 7 days, which was really good because we were down to like a 15-day count.
We were. Yeah, like, we needed that 7 days to really happen.
Like when I tell people that, it's like you're looking at the money that you owe, the money coming in, and the money that less the money you owe, but the money that you need in order to go buy product to put on the shelf in order to be able to serve the clients. And we were running out of that money to buy the product.
Right. Yeah.
That's the day count, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and the one thing that we were never not going to do was make payroll.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
I don't even know how many checks Jeremy and his wife Alex have missed to make sure everybody else got paid.
Oh yeah, I remember us having some conversations about getting creative on payroll.
Oh yeah, like hey,
let's get it done though.
Oh yeah, and then you were like, I've got somebody that can pull a magic wand, and in comes Jeff Montgomery. You both work together. Jeff delivers literally when there was less than 7 days left before we had to close our doors. And now it's given us the ability to make it through to August, where when the kids come back, because that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
Is the majority of our client base are college kids.
Sure.
And when kids are doing classes from Zoom and not there, kind of hard to have some clientele.
Right.
So that allowed us to bridge that gap. But that was just something that was above and beyond, in my opinion. I'm really, truly grateful for you doing that.
Well, I think that's the thing is, when you're a banker, been in the industry for 20 years, you've got those connections. And sometimes there are, at any bank, there's going to be something you can't do, but somebody else can do. And just knowing those connections, making a couple of phone calls, hey, is this something y'all are doing right now? It's something that you can get done quick and efficiently. And if you've got those connections, you can get it done. And thankfully, Jeff came in there and saved the day. But it's about taking care of the client. And, most things that we can do for you, that we take care of almost everything you need on a day-to-day basis. But every once in a while, something comes up, and you got to be able to prepare to take care of that and take care of your client. Because, nothing goes further than to save a business. Keep those people employed and keep you moving too.
Yeah, and and Jeremy and I talk about this all the time. Look, this guy will literally be a stalker for you, right? That's how much he loves you.
Yeah,
he was just like, when he found out you went over, he was like, "Is there an origin over in Arlington?"
Right. We're gonna get one there. We're gonna get one there.
Trust
me,
as soon as that one happens, then because I don't need him driving 30 miles to make deposits. Right?
We'll get one there.
Yeah. But there was another level that you helped us at too, is when the pandemic right before the pandemic, actually, so the week before the pandemic, we were watching major cities around the U.S. close. And of course, Jeremy and I are on the phone, I don't know how many times a day, because I was up in Colorado at the time. and it was like, hey, what are we going to do when this comes to Texas? And so I'd spent that weekend going, okay, we need to think about this strategically because things are shutting down, right? And my biggest concern was electronic deposits, not because of the bank, but because of the merchant services.
Right. Now,
they never did a interruption, but I didn't know what was going to happen there. I mean, there was so much ambiguity that was surrounding that. I called Jeremy and I said, all right, here's what we're going to do. And I called him that Monday because I think it was that Tuesday or Wednesday that the actual shutdown starting to happen. And I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take, because we got multiple accounts. We got the tax account, we got the payroll account, we got the ops account, the employee account, all these accounts. And I said, I want you to move all that money over to the main account. I'm going to get a hold of Bill, and I need you to go get all that money out.
Right.
And he was like, well, we owe TABC, that money's coming out. I was like, brother, everybody's going to owe TABC.
Right.
We'll make it straight with TABC, but what we need right now is cash in order to purchase things to stay open.
Right.
And so then I called you and I was like, look, I'm not making a run on my money. I just need to make sure I have access to cash in order to get this done. And we didn't know what we
didn't know
assumed
what we were going to do.
You guys didn't know. And I said, I just need to get this cash out so we can survive on that cash.
Yep.
And so you were like, I need 48 hours. Here's the bank you're going to go to, and I will have it. Because contrary to what a lot of people don't understand is, banks have money, but it's mainly electronic now. Rare that a bank has hundreds of thousands of dollars, sitting in a vault.
Correct.
Right?
That doesn't happen these days.
That doesn't happen these days. That's why I laugh when people go rob a bank. I'm like, what'd you get? $100? That's all they had. And so Jeremy was able to go get that. He was able to keep it in his safe at the house. And it was literally the element that helped us survive over the next 90 days, right? Because we are that smaller restaurant. But that was yet another example of a demonstration of, because you trusted me, you knew I wasn't just trying to take the money and go to Vegas, right?
Sure. No, exactly. I think that you're right. It's about trust. I know you're going to make it right. So with everything we've got going on with the business and stuff like that, let's do it. Let's go. Let's get the money and it'll all be made right. Just a matter of time. So
yeah. And that's the other thing about trust is it's made it very easy to refer new clients to you, right? Is because when somebody goes, well, why should I use Bill? And I go, I trust Bill 100% with my money. That's a bold statement, right?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
People are like, wow, okay. And it's been really great to watch some of the people that we really care about get that same level of service from you.
Well, that's reciprocal, right? I think that you might not remember this, but whenever we met for the first time, you told me what you did, and within a week I gave you a referral. So it took a little while for that guy to pick his house, but nonetheless, within a week I gave you a referral. So, and I think that comes down to it. If you find somebody you like, you get an opportunity to give them a referral. Give them a referral. Let's see where it goes. Who would have ever thought that we'd be sitting here like this, several years later.
Yeah. And
I've trusted you. You've sold my house. You're helping me find a house now.
Yeah.
So in a challenging market over in Fairmount. So so we've looked at some houses and there's been some challenging houses over there but we're getting close to finding the right one, and I have no doubt it's just a matter of the house becoming available and y'all are on it. I mean, before the houses are hitting the market, you're letting me know and all that kind of stuff, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So your team over there is amazing. So
that's it's funny that you say the team, right? Is I think I've done a good job of creating this illusion that I do more than what I actually do. It's really the team that does the heavy lifting.
Oh yeah,
right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's the same way in banking. I have to have a team around me. I mean, my old assistant Valerie, how much she did for me on a day-to-day basis and stuff like that. So, and that's what I'm creating over there is, maybe one day we'll get Valerie over there with us. But, in the meantime, I've got that team around me with Lacey, my new assistant, and the people there in the branches, most of them between Eric and Justin and you'll meet Darla and the whole crew over there. I mean, it's a team, and you can't do all of it yourself, but you've got to know the right place and the right channels to go to.
You're absolutely right, and you're not kidding. You did. I mean, it was less than 7 days later you had sent me a client, right? And sent several and which is really good. And I try to reiterate this on the show is, I don't want to be in the business that we send business to each other to make money. We send business to each other because we want them to have the most trusted relationship to take care of them, which naturally the money follows. Right.
Of course.
Especially in banking, right?
Yeah.
Money always follows.
Always does. As a matter of fact, I'm going to lunch today with Blake. So. Which
Braswell?
Yep. Yeah.
He back in town?
He's back in town.
Okay, yeah. Have a conversation with him about me because he's horrible at returning my calls right now.
Okay.
One of my oldest friends of over 40 years.
Yeah.
And
he's going through a few things right now.
Yeah. So. No. He and I were talking a couple weeks ago, and I know he's definitely had his hands full with a number of things. As a matter of fact, I've been trying to get him on the show, but due to a couple of things he's going through, until those get cleared up, he's
laying low.
Yeah, he's definitely laying low.
Yeah.
And then, but another great character. When he was, and it was kind of funny is making the handoff of him to you was really easy because he kept hearing me talk about you.
Yeah.
And then finally, matter of fact, we were at Winslow's over off at Camp Bowie.
Right.
Having we were there one morning doing brunch on a Sunday brunch in Bloody Mary's. And he finally goes, "When are you going to stop talking about Bill and introduce me to Bill?"
Oh, there you go. That's awesome, man.
Like,
that's cool.
I didn't already? And he goes, "No." And I was like, "Well," right there on the text, I was like, "Hey, get y'all hooked up."
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate it, man. He's an awesome dude, too. So, I mean, the referrals you've sent have just been nonstop, and it's been cool. And with all your networking and stuff like that, you run into people, and they need a banker. A lot of people need a banker. I met with one of my bankers that's transitioning over with me, or one of my clients is transitioning over to me, and she's like, "I never had any idea that I needed a banker." And then she called me up one time whenever we started transitioning everything over. She goes, "I need to buy this piece of equipment. It's $40,000. How much is the equipment loan? How much is this? How do I do that?" I said, "Well, give me what we're doing. Let me figure it out. 24 hours. Let's do this. It's a whole lot cheaper to go this route. It's going to save you a lot of money. And actually, in a roundabout way, you can actually make money off of buying this piece of equipment that you never knew you could make." And since that day, she's like, "I never knew the value, but anytime I'm talking about it," and she's one of the first people. As soon as she heard I was moving, she's, let's go. So
yeah. So talk about that. The importance of having. I know why, and I could sit here and brag about you all day long, but let's hear it from the man's mouth himself.
Sure. I think the simple thing is knowing somebody you can trust with your money. You've mentioned that already, and knowing somebody that's going to take the time to learn your business or learn your family, what your needs are as things come up in your life. They can already help, and they already probably know the best way to finance it or to save for it or whatever that might be that you need, or the products that you might not even be utilizing. The banks have tons of products, especially if you go to the commercial side. There's so much there that can be leveraged to make your day-to-day business easier and more simple. And it's just a matter of having somebody that's going to take the time to understand you, understand your business, understand your needs, and also follow up with you as things come up. Our lives are always changing, and sometimes they're changing in ways that we never knew that we would be looking for. Obviously, last year is a perfect example, but other changes that come through our life. It's just a matter of being able to understand that and then prepare for it, and help you prepare for it, and to be in the best place financially.
Yeah, so being over at Origin now, talk about just some of the differences being in a boutique bank versus the larger bank.
Yeah, I think the simple thing is it's so much smaller, so it's so much easier to get things done. If I need to get something done, a lot of times I can just go to Justin right here, and he's the Fort Worth City president. He's making the decisions here in Fort Worth. I mean, if we got a huge multi-million-dollar deal, we might need to go over to Ruston. But that's a phone call away. My assistant's worked for the bank in 5 different positions and started and is from Ruston. I mean, that's the kind of person you need. That's the kind of assistant you need who can pick up the phone and call anybody over there. And, hey, we need help with this on the IT side. Hey, we need help getting this done. Hey, Drake, we need to get this deal done. Here's what we need to do. And he's running the show here. So it's a phone call away. And I think the nice thing about it empowers us at the small bank, and empowers us to make decisions here locally. The decisions we make in Fort Worth aren't the same decisions we make in Dallas, aren't the same decisions we make in Ruston. So it's a matter of just being able to work with that team and just the synergy within the team. I mean, everybody is walking by your desk every day. Hey, how can I help you? What do you need? Oh, let me show you how we do this here. Hey, how's it over there? How's it here? They just know, and they also have a trust. It's that immediate trust that you get with each other from that friendly, outgoing side. We're all on the same team. We're all trying to reach the same goals. A big bank, you got retail fighting with commercial, fighting with wealth, because everybody's wanting to get credit for it. We're striving to get credit for one thing: our clients to be happy, which then in turn, Fort Worth gets credit, which then in turns, Origin gets credit, right? If we're meeting our clients' needs on a day-to-day basis, we don't have to worry about how much commission this is, how much money we make here, how many fees is this, or anything like that. Just take care of the client, the money will come. And that's what it comes down to. And I'm at the position now, and a place now, and the home now, where I can make that happen every single day.
So, I mean, being a banker and a bank, I mean, you just work 9 to 5 and holidays off, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Except for when I get calls at 8, 9, 10 o'clock, and people are going, who are you on the phone with? Why are they calling you so late? That's what they do. They have a need now.
Yeah.
And now's when they have time, because they're working the same hours I'm working. When they get home, they're like, oh, I need this. Oh, crap. What about this? And then that's when they hit me up. Now, my answer to you might be, hey, no problem, let me look at this tomorrow. Or it might be, hey, let's talk through this right now. Hey, they come in on the weekends too, of course, right? So whatever the client's need is, that's why we got my personal number. If I had an office number or whatever, which I do, because that's just what you have to, right? But that just rings through to the personal number.
Talk to a little bit about, the importance of having a financial circle around you, especially if you're trying to be successful in business, of the part that you play in strategic planning, right? So talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, I think that, with us, your situation, you've got Tim, and Tim and I talk to each other. We can refer business back and forth and stuff like that. And it's a matter of, I know what Tim's goal is for you. Tim knows what my goal is for you. And we each know what our job is, what our role is, and we don't cross that line. And when I say we don't cross that line, we don't have to, because we have that relationship that we just can call each other if we needed to. Hey, Jeremy's out of town. He's working on this or that. Him and Laura are super busy. What do you got going on? And he knows he can just call me up at any time. So it's having that financial circle around you. Your goal isn't to sell a house tomorrow. Your goal is to retire, and retire soon. Sooner rather than later. So we both know that. We both know that you don't want to work forever. We know that you're building a structure here with the Spann Group that is phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. Let's just take a second to talk about Michelle and how fantastic she is. Holy cow. I text her and within an hour or two, I'm looking at a new house, or looking at a house over in the neighborhood or whatnot, or she's telling me that I need to go look at a house. So just the team that you have there is what we try to create at the bank, and try to create for you in your big financial picture. And if you're not working together, you're not creating a team, not creating that synergy, that's not your banker. That's not your person. And it doesn't matter whether it's your banker, your CPA, your advisor. They all should be working together for your good.
Yeah. That's, man, that. Yeah. If for the audience out there, if you haven't learned through this conversation at this point, you need to really dive in and understand the value of having somebody that you can trust. And but you also do have that. I mean, just aside from making sure people are taken care of, there is that wealth component, right? Talk to me about that. What does that mean?
Yeah, I think that everybody wants to be to that level, but I think there's people that really, you have to plan to be wealthy, right? You have to work to be wealthy. And I think that that transition from being a retail client to being a wealth client is hard for people to figure out. But the reality is it's finding the right person, it's having that want to, having that drive, having the ability to meet that, to get there financially, and having a partner to go with you on that journey, right? My goal is for everyone to make as much money as they can, to be as successful as they can, and for me to take that burden off and get out of the way, right? You know day to day that you don't have to worry about stuff. It's taken care of. And if there's something you have a question about, or something you're wondering, or something you're thinking about doing, then you call me, right? Or I call you and say, hey, what about doing this differently? And I think that that's what it's about, and helping people on that higher level, on that wealth level, to just take that burden away from them. I think that service is what they need. That's what they're delivering. They wouldn't be wealthy or successful if they weren't delivering that, and they expect that from us. And not everybody can deliver that. That's for sure.
So give me a few examples of what you're doing in the wealth department that helps them generate more money.
Sure. I think the biggest things is making sure we've got the best opportunities, best rates for them. It's working with doctors, lawyers, business owners. I think those are the biggest clients that we help on a day-to-day basis. And it's creating that long-term goal for them so that eventually they sell their business or they sell their, sell their house, whatever it is, they retire. It's helping them get to that goal and helping them cash out, right? That's the big thing, right? Cash out, then we can take the money over to Tim or whoever is advising for them. And that's the goal, is to get them to there. How's that business going to grow? How are we going to get it to the next level? And can we increase the value of the business by 25% just by having the banking in place in the right way, in the right form? And, doctors, attorneys, they're so busy doing all sorts of stuff just like you are. And they're not an expert at banking. They're an expert at their doctor field or their whatever their field is. And I think that you have to create that trust with them because they know so much in their own field, but they don't know anything about banking in most cases. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Of course, they know how to balance a checkbook and stuff like that, but they don't really understand how much we can help them, how much we can make their life easier. And it's just a matter of showing them and getting that opportunity to help them help themselves.
Yeah, and I really want you to dive in a little bit more of what that means, namely because, look, you're not going to call a mechanic to do heart surgery.
Right.
I call it is the reason we build trusted relationships with people to outsource things for us, mm-hmm. right, is because that way we can stay hyper-focused on what we're good at, mm-hmm. right? Like, what I'm good at is building teams. Mm-hmm. What I'm good at is creating avenues to drive value for clients. Mm-hmm. What I'm good at is understanding the markets in real estate, right? This is what I do, and I stay hyper-focused on. Mm-hmm. The amount of time it would take me to go learn all the ins and outs of banking, mm-hmm. wealth management, accounting, all these other things, yeah, could I go do those? Absolutely, but it would take me away from being hyper-focused, which is building teams mm-hmm. that can establish trust with clients to drive value for those clients. I wouldn't be able to stay hyper-focused on that if I was jacking around with all this other stuff. Right? Mm-hmm. And so give me a couple of examples of what you've done to help relieve burdens from clients.
Sure. I think that what you have is with clients, business owners in particular, is you need to get out of their way so they can run. And I think that what we do is we take care of that burden. I've got a team in place. You talk about teams, it doesn't work without a team. And the ability for us to take that burden off them and put the products in place for them, I think it's just simplifying it for them, simplifying their life. They don't need to call or look at their online account or anything like that, because that's just taken away from their day, taken away from their time, right? And everything we can do to take that off their plate so that they can run is the key. Most of my clients, I don't even talk to them. They're the ones texting me. I follow up with the assistant, or my assistant follows up with their assistant, right? So it's making it simple for them and it's simplifying their life so that they can run, they can do, and we take that piece and get it out of their way. They don't have to worry about it. That's when I get the text at night saying, hey, we're looking at buying this next house. What do we do? We're looking at, selling this. What do we do? That's my job to figure that out. Just knowing them and saying, hey, we're about to do this, we're about to do that, having that plan laid out for them and just simplifying it and making it easy for them. I think that's the biggest thing we do. Obviously with lending, knowing which products to put them into, what makes sense long-term for them, and getting it done efficiently and the time frame they need it. Sometimes that's, within a week, and sometimes it's you've got a longer horizon. This is down the pipe. You've got, with family and stuff like that. Hey, we got kids going to college. We need to plan for that. Things like that. So just helping and knowing where that is and being able to lead them in the right direction. Making it easy. I mean, there's nothing more to it. Making it easy with having the right team.
Yeah, and in a good example of that, of not knowing the banking industry, was when I went to go buy my truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and I pinged you. I was like, hey, what kind of interest rate should I get? Because this is what their finance department down here at Hiley is saying. Which Hiley, GMC, if you're going to buy anything that's GMC related, please go to Hiley. They are fantastic. And I was like, hey, this is what they're offering. What can you get me? And you pulled up my account and you were like, well, why don't we just take 65, because the truck was 65 grand. And you were like, why don't we just shift this over to a CD
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll open a line. You just pay interest on the line because
Mm-hmm.
the line is backed by the CD.
Right.
So here it is, a truck that probably would have cost me about $1,200 a month, now costs me less than $1,200 a year.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
that was an example of something of like, wow, talk about making your money work
Mm-hmm.
for you. Right. I was like, we can do things like that. And you were like, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, oh, by the way, I have the title to my truck
Right.
in my safe. And somebody might go, well, why don't you just, go pay the $65,000 cash? And I was like, well, the CD is making interest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm paying very, very, very little interest on the
Right.
line. And what it does is it offers me a safety mechanism that, hey, look, if I really needed to have, especially, after a pandemic or something like that, things can happen in this world.
Sure.
That it was, hey, I was trying to explain it to Laura. It took her a little bit to try to understand it, to go, look, it's almost like a little savings account.
Mm-hmm.
Because if worst comes to worst, we could sell the truck,
Right.
use the CD to pay off the line.
Mm-hmm. And now
We
you're sitting
keep
with
the
cash.
truck money and the interest we made off of the CD.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have cash that we can liquidate very quickly.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And so understanding that, and look, my truck is a business asset, which
Mhm.
means, because this is a business CD with a business line, and I was like, okay, so I get things like depreciation
Sure.
on a truck. And then later when you were explaining to me, you're like, listen, you need to get together with your CPA because you get depreciation on your truck. You're writing off the gas and all that other stuff on it. So actually, if you go get a new truck every 2 years, you're actually making money driving the truck.
Right.
Right? Because through the depreciation and everything else, the very low interest rate on the lines, and when you explained that to me, I was like, I had no idea. Now I started really understanding, like when you say things like, make your money work for you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
And that was just one of many examples that I had no idea that were at my fingertips.
Sure.
And then on top of that, I didn't have to do anything because you're like, I'm going to send you some things, you sign it, and then leave with your truck, right? I mean, you literally made it. There, it's kind of like that Staples commercial, easy button.
Yes.
Like, you make my life easy.
And that's my job. If I'm not making it easy, fire me.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Yeah.
fire me if I don't make it easy for you. And if your banker's not making it easy for you,
Call you.
yep, call me. Call me. Yeah, exactly. Call me.
So going back to what you're talking about, your grandfather was a banker,
Mhm.
right? But you have this servant soul.
Mhm.
Where does that come from?
I think it's from my dad. His hard work. He worked for General Motors. Not at a parts distribution plant down. Used to be off Everman. Now it's up in Alliance. But he always put his employees first. Always, no matter what he did. And when computers came out, he used those to his advantage. He might not know how to pull up Word or Excel on his computer, but he knew how to make the computer work more efficiently for his team. As they're going around picking parts and pulling parts to ship out to the dealerships, he made sure that his team was always enabled with the best that they could. And then then when I was in college, I had the opportunity to go work there 3 summers in a row. And there wasn't a single person there that didn't stop by at some point when they found out that I was his son and said, man, I love working for your dad. Man, and if I run into somebody that worked at the plant, it's guaranteed that somebody from that parts distribution place will say, oh, man, your dad, he was great. I loved working for him, And it's just that. It's taking care of your people and taking care of For me, taking care of my clients, right? When I was in the branch, it was taking care of my employees, which then took care of my clients, right? So if we can take care of that one thing, which for me, it's my clients, we can make it easy. And that's what he did. His client was his employees. So your client, who is your client, I think is a big question. Who is yours? Mine's easy because I work with my clients day to day. When I ran a branch, my clients weren't the people walking down the door. They were my bankers. They were my tellers. Who are your clients, and are you taking care of them? If you're taking care of them, then they in turn will take care of what you traditionally think is your client.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and that's true leadership right there, right? Is identifying, who is the person you're taking care of. Like, and I really resonate with that because, like, my job is to make sure my team is taken care of.
Yeah.
Right? That they have all the adequate resources in order to be effective. Because, look, as you stated, it's not me doing the paperwork on this stuff. That's Lynn. It's not me out there being boots on the ground doing the showings. That's Michelle. It's not me checking to make sure all the loopholes are closed and details because you don't want to leave that up to me. That's Laura. Right? And then now we've added, James Peterson onto the team where he's learning, literally drinking from a fire hose right now.
I know the feeling.
Oh, yeah. Where he's learning everything in all aspects about the business so that way he can fill, my role, right? And it's making sure that everybody has those things, right? Because my job is to serve my team. My team's job is to serve the clients, right? And there's just so much value in that I don't think a lot of people truly realize and understand that. That's like when we get new clients. So I think you'd agree, right? You've bought and sold a few houses in your time. We do things quite different than other teams that are out there, right? And when people come to us, especially now, what's kind of funny is if they come to us and this is the first time they've ever purchased a home, then we've set the bar so high that if they go somewhere else, they're like, everybody else has got brain damage, right?
Right.
And then folks that have dealt with people in our industry, which not all of them are great, is they come to us and they're just dumbfounded by, wow, we had no idea.
Yeah.
And because that's what we want to be. We want to be the easy button for our clients, right?
Right.
You remove the complexity in our life that allows us to be the easy button for our clients, right?
Correct.
So you become our easy button so we can become their easy button. So we just got like this daisy chain of easy buttons,
there
right?
There you go. If you don't have easy buttons in your life, man, I felt sorry for you.
Yeah. So what are in a couple of decades of being in the banking industry, have you seen a lot of changes?
Oh yeah. I mean, the digital world has been so great. Just as you can tell by your phone, same things happen to banking, right? We've taken, we used to have teller lines out the doors back in the day, and now, a lot of that stuff's just done electronically. Your deposit for your payrolls are made there. Your transactions from your clients coming in. I mean, hardly anybody uses cash anymore. All that's changed, and I think majority of that's changed for the good reason, right? But I think that what you also see, and I think we're going to see that more in our industry, is you're going to have less and less bankers. And I think that's good if you've got the right banker. If you got the wrong banker, you're never going to know what it's like to have a good banker. Just like you said, same thing in real estate, right? If you only had your buddy Joe, and that's because he decided he needed to do something on the side and sell some real estate, and that's all you've got and that's all you ever knew, you're not even sure, what good is, right? Go find out what good. Go find out what great is. You don't want good. You don't want a good banker. There's plenty of good bankers, plenty of good realtors, but you want great. This is the person that's taking care of your money, or this is the person taking care of your biggest purchase, your home, right? You want great. So don't just settle with the person you walked into that branch with. Do some research. Ask some people around you that are successful. Who do you use? Who do you trust with your money? Who do you trust with your home? And that's what it comes down to, is if they ask, they're going to find out who the good people, who the great bankers are in town, who the great realtors are in town. And a lot of times our numbers will speak for that. And our just our place and our roles, it speaks for it, right? It's easy. Once they come on board with you or they come on board with me, they know, holy cow, this is different, right? And that's how we designate ourselves. We are different. We're not like everybody else. Neither one of us ever want to be like anybody else. We want to be far above that, and we want to make sure that they know that every day. Simplify it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what do you foresee happening in banking in the future, just off of what you're seeing presently? Like, what are some changes that you think are on the horizon?
Yeah, I think what you're seeing is less and less bankers in a branch, and I think that there's always going to be needs for it, right? I remember back in that day when you walked in and we had 10 tellers lined up across the wall. Guess what? You walk into Origin Bank, you're not going to have one teller. You're going to have a banker. A great thing about having a banker, when that's what your level is, that's what you need, is that banker takes your deposits. That banker sets up your account. That banker can help you buy your car, And I think that that's a cool thing is now when you walk in, you've got somebody that's got some knowledge, right? Especially at these smaller places like we have, right? You're not walking into a teller and they're having to get a referral for the day, and that's what their quota is, or their job is to sell you a credit card or to get one loan a week or whatever. Our job is to take care of the client when they come in and be able to have that knowledge to know what the products are, how to help them. And I think that that's one thing cool that we're seeing. And I think that over time, even the big banks are going to go to that. But I think the smaller banks, they've got a jump start on that because we don't have to worry about a big teller to line out the door. And I think the other thing is you're going to see more pressure on bankers to do more things right and to be more knowledgeable because there's going to be less of us. So we've got to be better than what we were yesterday, better than what we were 10 years ago. We've got to know how to help our clients and how to be able to take care of them and take care of all their needs. I think that's one thing you're going to see. Less and less, and but in a good way. Yeah. Because you got better, right? Yeah. You can look at college sports, right? There's tons of football players out there. And then when they go to the pro, there's less, right? And it's going to be the same thing, but they're better, right? And I think that that's what you're going to see in banking.
Yeah, and it's important to have, great assistants, right? Like Lacey, you were talking about. So you're well aware, I have a lot of clients that invest in properties, right? Mm-hmm. So I got a client that is buying 2 TCU investment off-campus student rentals, Mark Shelton. Mm-hmm. And Mark, that's one of the reasons he's been successful because he just surrounds himself with people that'll get things done. So he was like, okay, we've got these 2. What's next? And I said, okay, we need to get, Origin ready to, lever this thing up. Mm-hmm. We need to get your accounts set up. Right. So we got the LLC paperwork, literally got everybody on an email chain, and everything was set up and done, right? Yep. Like, it was like, look, we need 4 accounts, one for the loan, one for the CapEx, one for the deposits, and one for the OpEx, right? Mm-hmm. And all that is set up and made it really easy for Mark to wire a nice little chunk of change over there to be able to have everything set up and ready to go for the loan to get done. And now everything is set up. But mm-hmm. It was literally having great assistants that are in there to be able to help make sure all those things are checked off and buttoned up, right? And then I imagine one of the probably tougher things about leaving BBVA is you left behind one hell of an assistant there.
I did without a doubt. And but I'm lucky, fortunate enough, they knew we were coming, and they got the right person in front of me, a right partner for me to work with. I talk to Valerie still every single day. So, and hopefully we find a home for her. No offense, BBVA, PNC, but we want her. But I think that
Bill's recruiting. You better take care of her.
But with Lacey, it's the same thing. It reminds me so much of what I had. Somebody's so knowledgeable. She's been with the bank for I don't know, double digits, 15 plus years. She knew everything. She knew everywhere, where to go and everything like that. That's what I've got again. I've got that person that knows where to go for everything, where to get everything done. I got the person that allows me to go out and work with the clients to sell, right? Sell and know that they're taken care of on the backside. And I think that the biggest thing, you just talked about it, right? It's switching banks, holy crap, I don't want to go through all that. I don't want to have to switch all these ACH. I don't want to switch all this. I don't want to switch my payroll. But do you have a banker there that's taking care of you? Are you getting that level of service that you need? Because it might take, a little bit of time to move all those ACHs and debits and stuff like that. Understood. I get that. We can help you with that. Bring us an old statement, and we'll figure out which places you need to call just by looking at that statement, and we'll help you. We'll pull the phone numbers if we need to, right? But the reality is once that change is done, which might be a month, let's say, to get all the ACHs moved over, the accounts will be open the same day with Lacey. But once that's done, your service level is going to be next level. You're going to be taken care of far better than you've ever been taken care of before. And I think that's what it takes. That's what you need, especially these wealthy clients. That's what they need. They need somebody taking care of them every day. That transition is the only time they have to do any work, per se.
Yeah.
The rest of the work is done by me and my team.
So let's talk about interest rates. I mean, these things are lower than, you've never seen anything like this, have you?
No, not at all. Not at all, man. I think it's also helping our clients try to figure out what's the money for? What are you using it for? How long? What's the time horizon? Is this retirement money? Is this college money and your kids are in high school? Is this, what's the long-term goal of this pot of money, right? How do we get that pot of money bigger and to be what it needs to be to hit that goal?
Yeah. And so what do you see on the horizon with interest rates?
I think they're going to continue to be low. I think at some point, all these PPP loans and everything like that, we're going to have to pay them back as taxpayers. So I just, we've got to take that into consideration. We're going to see some changes coming, probably some government changes coming down on us and changes and just an ability to repay it. Like, are the taxes going to go up? Probably at some point they're going to have to. We got to pay this money back as a society, right? But hopefully we've got enough time for people to get back on their feet, to get businesses like yours back running and going and blowing like it was before. And then, just strap it on, You're going to have to make a little bit more money because you're going to be paying a little more taxes. So that's just the reality of it, I think, in the long run.
So talk about what it means, Prime Plus.
Prime Plus. Yeah. Okay, so Prime is always changing, although it's been pretty stagnant for quite some time. But Prime Plus, that's what we use. Prime is what the best client gets. That's kind of where it came from. So that's the rate that your best clients get on whatever the product might be, right? Now, is that what they get on their home? Is that, is a car? Sometimes we've seen car rates up at 5, 6, 7. Sometimes we've seen them 0, right, for 5 years or 6 years or whatever. But Prime is moving, and it's the government reassessing and resetting that number based on where the economy is at that time. So, we use that for a lot of our lines of credit, things like that, because the line of credit is something that's always moving, right? Sometimes you might have it fully drawn. Sometimes you might not have it drawn at all. It makes sense for a product like that to be able to adjust, right? And you'll see a lot of, so those people are buying and selling houses in a short period of time. A lot of times they're going to go with something that's adjustable, right? Because they know what the rate is for now, and they know they're not going to keep it, right? Because it's always moving. The same thing with it on Prime. It's going to be moving. At some point, it's going to be going up at some point. But for now, take advantage of it. It's allowing us to get best rates on buying houses, best rates on buying cars, or anything else that you need to finance right now.
Just kind of in your experience and seeing what's going on, just with the economy and everything else, just do you have kind of an opinion on when Prime might go up?
That's a good, tough question. I think we've got to see better numbers in the economy, avoid a recession, and if we can do that, then I think that you'll start to see it, creep up, maybe early next year, maybe mid next year, start moving up a quarter point. But I think we still have, I think that our government knows, our Treasury knows that people are still hurting out there. And we've got to get people back to work. I think that's another big thing is get people back to work. I mean, everywhere we go, we see lots of for hire places, and we need to get these people back out there, contributing to the workforce, and feeling good about themselves and feeling positive that they're being contributing to society and all of us working together.
Yeah, and that's a real issue right now. I mean, like even Jeremy, he's like, man, we hear all these people need jobs, and he goes, and I'm trying to hire as fast as I can, but people aren't going to work.
Right.
Why aren't they going to work, Bill?
Yeah, government needs to cut off their money supply. not for everybody. I think that there are some people that it's there for a reason, right? The government helps people out for a reason, and there's some people out there that definitely need that. I think that there's some people out there that we need to, encourage to get back to work.
Yeah, and we really do. I mean, because like I was reading, researching a few articles that had come out in the last couple of weeks talking about the stimulus checks and. People getting all this money and they expected them to go out here and spend it, because that's what stimulates the economy is spending money.
Right.
But what we're finding is more credit card debt has been paid down in this than in, I think it was like they said the last 20 or 30 years. And it might have been a percentage per capita or something. I can't remember the exact article. But I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it's great news. It shows that people are being responsible with that money. And as a banker, of course, we love people being responsible with their money, and I think that that's a good thing. Obviously, we'd love some of that to be sitting in the bank, but we also want to do the right thing for the client and time to pay off those credit cards or pay them down. I mean, those are the highest rates you got out there, right? So it's great to see people doing the right thing with the money. It doesn't necessarily drive business, but I'll give you an example. The 19th, a week and a half from now, we're trying to go grab a nice dinner with another couple, and we can't even get into the nice restaurants in town because they're packed, they're busy, they're booked. So that's a good sign too.
Yeah, no, it is. With people being cooped up for a long time, with the pandemic, mask, and everything else, and you can't go do this, and you need a vaccine for that, and blah blah blah. Now people are. They're antsy, right? They're ready to get out. They're ready to go do things, and I imagine that is a very big challenge for these restaurants. I know that we've experienced it at Old School because you're like, well, that means we need people working in order to be able to go do this, right?
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Yeah. An example of that, we went to Christina's little Mexican food restaurant up in I think it's in Presidio, and the other day when we went to go eat, the restaurant was half full. They couldn't seat us because they only had 2 waiters. Yeah. It's like, oh my goodness. What's going on here?
Yeah. No, that's a real problem everywhere. I mean, it's not just here. I mean, I see it in Pagosa Springs, right? Where, when we're up there at our house up there, the restaurants are, they're like, hey, it's a 45-minute wait. And you're like, man, there's hardly anybody in here. And you're like, yeah, we just got 2 people working.
Right.
And I mean, it is a real issue. And people do need to, really figure that out. And so bringing us back around. All right.
Yeah.
20-year-old Bill.
Right.
Go back and talk to 20-year-old Bill. Current day Bill, go back, talk to 20-year-old Bill. Turn back the hands of time because he heard 20-year-old Bill is willing to listen to one piece of advice from present-day Bill. If you could go back and talk to 20-year-old self, what would be that one thing you would say, do or don't do this?
I think it comes down to being kind to people. Whether for me, it's clients, it's it's my employees, it's my coworkers, it's my peers. That goes so far. I mean, be kind to the guy walking down the street, right? And that all turns around into being successful, right? Very few people at our level are successful if they're not kind, right? So just being kind to people, and it sounds kind of soft or whatever, but it's not. It doesn't mean I'm soft because I'm kind to people. It just means that I can respect you without knowing you.
Yeah, that's great, because that's definitely what we're missing out on in this world right now. You got a lot more people being mean to each other than being kind to each other. Right? And you know what? And here's the funny thing: it takes equal, if not less, energy to be kind than it does to take
a lot less.
Be unkind.
You don't have to carry it with you. I mean, I can think about times when you get upset about something or frustrated with somebody or have a poor interaction. They happen, right?
Yeah.
How long does that burden you? I mean, you think about it, you're like, man, if I would have done this different or that different, right?
Yeah.
If you would have just been kind in the first place, even if they weren't, even if they were mean to you or disrespectful to you or came in with a wrong attitude, if you would have just been kind in the first place, you wouldn't have to carry that burden with you. They wouldn't either. But that burden of negativity carries on throughout our day. Sometimes you can't sleep because you think about it, right?
Yeah.
It's so much easier just to have been nice, just to have been kind to somebody. It goes so much further, you know? That's where the referrals come from. That's where more business comes from.
If you're like, hey, you go to Bill, you not only trust him, but he's nice.
Right. Yeah, there you go, right? Yeah.
Okay, so we've got folks that are looking for a banker. How do they get in touch with you?
Pretty simple. Pretty simple. Just call me, text me on my cell phone, 817-319-1861, or you can swing by our branch downtown, the corner of Throckmorton and 5th, and the ladies there will help you. I'm right above that. If you need to come up and see me, just let them know. They'll get you to me. So, but that's my home number. That's my cell number. That's my number my kids call me on, and that's the number the Spans hit me up on. So don't hesitate to reach out. That's the easiest way to communicate with me. I can get you emails. I can get you all the other stuff later if you want that. But the easiest way to do it is just send me a call, send me a text, or give me a call.
And if you're driving or busy and not able to write down that number, it will be on the website. Just go to myexperiencedrealtor.com. Click on the podcast button, click on Bill Kresser, click read more under his episode, which will have all the links, emails, and everything else for you to be able to connect with them. And if anything, just send him a text and harass him. And then you need somebody to trust. Definitely reach out to Bill. And of course, naturally, if you're looking to buy and sell real estate anywhere on the planet, need a trusted professional like the Spann Group, even if it's not in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, go to the homepage of myexperiencedrealtor.com, click Find a Trusted Professional, and we will get you taken care of. Thanks a lot for coming, Bill.
Thank you.